I expected sorrow and despair, but the situation here goes beyond even my prophetic inklings. On the surface, yes, but peace through tyranny provides false harmony. Euraxia uses fear and threats of violence to keep the Khajiit in line, making them second-class citizens in their own province. It appalls me to think Euraxia and I are related. It would be better if I showed you. Follow me and I'll demonstrate the true depths of my half-sister's villainy. Her grip on Rimmen is far tighter than it appears. Very well. But what I'm about to show you isn't for the faint of heart. Follow me. Have you ever visited a Rimmen workhouse? They treat the Khajiit workers worse than slaves.
I recently traveled past Two Moons Temple. I hate to say it, but I think the monks there have gone mad.
So what makes you say that?
They said they would chase butterflies, but I couldn't.
It's that building over there.
They were chasing
For most of Rimmen's Khajiit, it's the only job available to them. The workhouse serves to snare the poor and the destitute, those who fall behind on their debts. They come here to find employment and earn a decent wage, but the costs deducted to pay for room and board leave them worse off than they were before. One of the first things Euraxia did after declaring herself queen was to institute tariffs and fines that apply only to Khajiit citizens. No one else needs the workhouse. A cruel tactic, but effective. The Rimmen Khajiit? No. Any complaints incur fines for causing a public disturbance or some other inane ordinance. No one wants to risk falling even further into debt. It's ingenious. Monstrous, but ingenious. Oh, Euraxia is clever. She pays the Khajiit, and the workhouse isn't technically a prison. On the surface, it appears to be a place that helps society's unfortunates, but underneath, it's slavery without any of the uncomfortable trappings. Now, let's visit the Rimmen marketplace. Take a look around. Business seems to be thriving, but appearances can be deceiving. It may be hard to see, but the Khajiit merchants struggle to keep their stalls open, while the less bestial business people rake in the profits. Euraxia would have you believe it's a matter of work ethic, but we know better. Unfairly doesn't begin to cover it. Khajiit merchants must deal with high tariffs, extra inspection fees, costly licenses. Euraxia's squeezing them for every piece of gold imaginable. She even instituted a fur tax. On the surface, it seems reasonable to make Khajiit pay for extra inspections to ensure their fur isn't getting into the products they sell. And while they do shed, it's just another way to discriminate against the rightful citizens of this land. Come along. I want to show you the improvements Euraxia made to the palace wall. See the trebuchets? Notice how they're aimed into the city below. See how the siege weapons sit upon the walls? When it comes right down to it, you're looking at the secret of my half-sister's success. How else do you think Euraxia maintains order and keeps the Elsyer Defense force at bay? She declared publicly, and has repeated often, that any attempt to liberate Rimmen will see her unleash the full fury of the siege weapons upon the city. If Euraxia can't have Rimmen, then neither can anyone else. She'd destroy the city in a heartbeat if she thought she was in danger of losing control. Of course, she tells her non-bestial subjects that only the Khajiit districts are targeted. Absolutely not. But the lie makes her supporters feel better. The Khajiit know that even a peaceful protest could result in the destruction of Rimmen. So far, no one has dared to challenge Euraxia's will in this matter, and for good reason. When we get to the palace, let me do the talking. As the Elder Tharn, I'll demonstrate my dominance over Euraxia and negotiate a cessation of hostilities.
Here come Queen Euraxia's guests now.
I don't like the looks of these meddlers. I say we feed them to the dragons and be done with it.
So you're Abnur Tharn's bodyguard and valet. Not what I expected. I assume you want to follow your master into the Queen's inner sanctum, huh? I'll allow it. But first, I want to gauge the measure of your marrow. I am Queen Euraxia's chief necromancer. You may call me Zumog Phoom. The other grave callers answer to me. And this is my familiar and confidant, Sir Cadwell the Betrayer. Ah, yes. The Betrayer saw you when it looked through the soul-shriven's eyes. The creature you know is a pale shadow of the dark night that once walked these lands. I exhumed his remains and reanimated him. Well, his head. It was all I could find. My actions don't concern you. I just wanted to meet Abnur Tharn's lackey and determine if Queen Euraxia had anything to fear. The answer is quite clear. Your insignificance rivals that of the soul-shriven fool, which makes you eminently forgettable.
Now about the rest of my body, O pestilent one.
Your insults won't hasten the process, betrayer.
But there's a terrible draft in what used to be
Presenting
my
Abnur
nether
Tharn, Grand Chancellor and Overlord of Nibene, Imperial Battle Mage of the Elder Council, and Patriarch of the Tharn Dynasty, and his bodyguard.
Ah, half-brother. Your arrival, it's so unexceptional.
Pretending to be a queen...
Hush, Abnur, you bore me. Bodyguard, you look interesting. Come talk to me.
You heard her. Good luck.
My sources indicated that my half-brother's associate was somewhat taller. Oh well. Now, why in the world should I even consider negotiating with members of the losing side? A warning? How thoughtful. You do know that I defeated the Khajiit army and took control of the Rimmen throne? I am no one's puppet, I assure you. But why do you suppose I have anything to do with dragons? Oh, how precious. I hoped my pompous half-brother would provide an amusement, but this is even better. I have a chamber set aside in the dungeons just for you. We'll play the most interesting games, you and I. until your body gives out. Do not presume to lecture me. I make the rules here, not you or Abnur. I have a special relationship with Mulamnir, an understanding. The dragons will secure my hold over Elsyer, and there's nothing you or my half-brother can do to stop them. Enough! Zumog Phoom, what news do you bring?
The Desert Wind Adaptorium has fallen. We move against Riverhold on your word.
Then the word is given. Now, half-brother.
Treachery? How could I ever have anticipated this?
Guards, take them to the dungeons.
Well, I suppose that could have gone better. I prepared for Euraxia's probable betrayal. Unfortunately, my teleport spell wasn't quite able to penetrate the palace wards, so we wound up down here, in the palace sewer. We heard two things of note. First, Euraxian forces have invaded the Desert Wind Adaptorium for some insidious purpose. And second, my vile half-sister ordered an attack on Riverhold. One thing at a time, my companion, one thing at a time. I need to recover my strength after teleporting us into this skeever hole. I'll need your help to get out of here. Then we can deal with both Desert Wind and Riverhold. The way out, finally. I can't abide another moment in this stench. Well, that's an experience I won't be adding to my memoirs. We'll separate here. Make it harder for Euraxia's lackeys to follow us. Now, things actually turned out better than I expected. We know that Euraxia wants something from the Desert Wind Adaptorium, and we know she's about to launch a counter-strike against Riverhold. That's not exactly true. If my power wasn't depleted, well, let's not digress. I'll go to Riverhold and warn Garishri. We'll make sure the city is ready for the attack. Meanwhile, you find out what's happening at the Desert Wind Adaptorium. Adaptoriums serve the same function as monasteries in other parts of Tamriel. Desert Wind and its adepts follow the order of Jean Kaj. It's west of here, on the northern lip of the scar. Look for a side entrance if the main door is blocked.